Now, in gaming, there are a lot of well-written characters, from Silent Hill 2's James Sunderland to Fallout New Vegas' Joshua Graham to even Rockstar's own Arthur Morgan, but there's one to me that is quite an underrated character in terms of the amount of detail in them, and their weird importance to gaming in the sense I believe they are supposed to represent the player themselves, that being GTA 5's Trevor.
Titties! Titties! Titties!
Now, Trevor is a rather interesting character as he's portrayed as an over-the-top and shouldn't really be a likeable character due to his horrific crimes that he commits. However, he does come across as having this enigmatic presence that makes you want to see what he would do next. And from his actually first introduction, we get to see the type of guy he is.
Hey, you gotta move these bikes.
I don't know anything about that.
And this other guy runs out of the shop, pushes me over and says something like, "You forget thousands of things every day. You'll make sure this is one of them." That was pretty scary. Back to you in the studio.
You want to get lit now, sugar? Trevor, baby, you wanna smoke up now?
Don't do it, Johnny! Don't do it! Trevor! You been with my girl again? I'm speaking with you, asshole!
Don't do it, Johnny! I told him, Trevor, I told him!
We all get high! We all get high! But that don't make it right!
Johnny! Leave it!
The crystal has got us, babe, but that don't make it right. Don't make nothing right. Not what you done with me.
I'm telling Johnny, leave it!
I ain't leaving nothing. Trevor! I'm talking to you, motherfucker!
Are you? What are you saying?
Fucking my girl, man. It's wrong.
Well, I gotta fuck someone. You want me to fuck you instead? Is that the problem here? Take off your pants, cowboy, all right? Let's fuck.
You think this is funny?
Get them off!
I told him to leave it, Trevor. I told him. Leave it. Leave it.
Shut up, Ron. I'm about to fuck me a meth head, ain't I, cowboy? Get my boy sucked from his toothless gums, huh?
Fuck you, Trevor.
Oh.
I still love her.
All right, cowboy. Hey, I know. Hey, come on.
I don't mean nothing by it, man.
I know.
I'm messed up.
I know, cowboy. It's okay, man. Give me a hug, yeah. Fucking shit! Cut! 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 Who the fuck are you speaking to? Who? I'm talking to you, huh? You fuck!
Johnny!
Huh? Next time, don't get in my fucking face! I just saw a fucking ghost and I gotta hear your crap! Get up! Get up! Fuck you then!
I think this is the perfect introduction to him as a character, as it shows key aspects to his personality that are needed to understand him. First off is his sexual nature, which the scene starts with, which is a vital aspect to him as a character, as he uses it to intimidate people like threatening to have intercourse with Johnny, which comes across as if he wants to rape Johnny, which, as we later find out, is something Trevor is willing to do. The scene opening with him having sex which seems loveless, and dingy with his trailer van which is dirty and not being cleaned. And Trevor's emotionless expression. And his appearance gives a lot away as well. His ironic tattoo cut here around his neck, I think implying his lack of care or fear of death, which he shows throughout the game, and I think his overall basic appearance is to show the audience he isn't hiding anything. He's an almost blank slate, which I'll get back to later. And that sexual aspect of Trevor follows him throughout most of his appearances, with a lot of his dialogue being to do with the male and female genitalia. One nice detail is the fact Trevor's friends, Wade and Ron, are almost presented as childlike, in the sense Trevor is physically bigger than them, also the fact they crouch when around him to make them the size of a child. And listen to this line from Wade.
If I get bored, I'm joking. You can suck me off.
Are we gonna stop for ice cream?
Very childlike. Trevor even treating them as children by belittling them, and when telling Wade his backstory, speaking in a rather overly simple way.
Never to speak again. I like stories. Of course you do. This story's about a boy called Trisha.
Is Trisha a boy's name?
It doesn't matter.
Sounds weird.
He was weird. He was the smartest, toughest, weirdest kid in Canada. Well, in the Canadian border region of America. Okay, this
And him threatening sexual violence all the time foreshadows the fact that we find out Trevor was sexually abused by his mother when he was a boy.
Crack on me. What you doing around here, man?
Me?
Yeah, you motherfucker. You.
What?
I'm talking to you, motherfucker. Who else you think I'm talking to, homeboy?
I'm getting bored of this.
What?
It's not legally fucking if you do not penetrate.
Which of course messed him up, leading to an Oedipus complex wherein two women who have similar appearances to his mother, Crystal and Patricia, both having red hair, and one being a mother figure, Patricia, and one being sexual, Crystal, which Trevor's mother was a prostitute. It's made quite obvious that Trevor is a person in need of a father figure, which I believe he feels protective of the younger, more vulnerable people, specifically Franklin, Tracy and Jimmy, like during the fame or shame chase of Laszlo. Which carefully shows you how Trevor views Michael. I think the reason is that lack of a father figure which he so needed and wants to protect Michael's children from Michael, who I believe Trevor sees as someone who is just as bad as him, if not worse, due to the fact Michael plays the victim in some sense, and is a monster in his own right, and did not raise his children properly, isn't the most productive person, and constantly lies and cheats his way in life, in order to get the best, even if that involves faking his death, lying about being in witness protection, or trying to kill Trevor, which the prologue suggesting Brad walked in the way when Davey shot the sniper. Now, in my opinion, Trevor is in a weird way a positive character, in the sense he isn't hiding who he is, and isn't someone filled with self-hate. Now, he might hate other people, but the reason he does so is because of their own hate. For example, during each of Trevor's rampages, he experienced some form of xenophobia, whether it's from the rednecks to the army, and even the hipster, which I think cleverly calls out the racism in each part of American society, from the social media aspect of the hipster to the army aspect to the street aspect, which Trevor isn't a fan of. This is cleverly done in his cutscenes with Lamar and Franklin, wherein he walks into Franklin's front garden and notice the fact he doesn't say the N-word, instead saying,
Oh, my N-word, huh? What's up, homie, huh?
which you would expect a crazy guy like Trevor to say. Now, yes, you could chalk this up to him not wanting to get beat up, but he is shown to not really be scared of anyone, the government or even your average Joe, and generally seems to like Franklin. This is because I think he sees the fact Michael is trying to manipulate him into fully trusting him, which after Michael's saved by Franklin, he finally sees what Trevor was talking about and calls Michael out to his face.
Look, I made a judgment call. I don't know if it's the right one. I did what I thought I had to do. I had a young family, Franklin. I was running with a crew of crazy motherfuckers with nothing to lose. I saw an out. A future for me, for my family. I took it.
You took it? Man, you burned every motherfucker you've ever known.
It was that or die. Look, I know it sounds cold. I don't expect you to understand it. Not yet, but you will. When you got ties of your own. Look, you wake up one day and your legs, they just give. You just can't run anymore.
All right, man, look. You watch your back, all right? When Trevor finds out you're still alive, I don't know what the fuck he gonna do.
Which, if you choose the ending where you kill Trevor, I think it's the bad ending. As you portray Trevor despite the fact he's trying to help and kill him in possibly one of the worst ways possible, alongside Michael, which if you choose to kill Michael, Trevor takes no part in, which I think from that alone tells you the type of person Michael is. Fake, Trevor real. Now I believe that Trevor is in fact almost a mirror for the player and in some ways a video game violence. Now I think there are two crucial things that back this idea up, those being Trevor's interaction with Floyd, one scene in particular, and the torture mission. Now, during the torture scene, it starts off as Trevor seemingly enjoying the torture, and a rather hard to play scene, which I think is intentionally, it's made to make you uncomfortable. Thus, when I played it, I went for what I deemed the more quote-unquote humane ways of torture, which is a rather silly idea, as torture, at the end of the day, is torture. And each of these methods was just as brutal as the other ones. And the fact it's not real, so why do I care what happens to essentially pixels on a screen? Despite the fact you kill hundreds of people across the game, and most likely run over a lot of people too. The scene, I believe, is made to make you uncomfortable, and I think the point is to point at the damage that the player is doing to each person that they harm, and see the effect that you're doing has on one person, and also you kind of trick the audience into sympathizing with someone despite the fact you are a horrible person no matter what character you play as at the end of the day. Also, I think it's one of the best anti-violence scenes possible in gaming, as it's made rather obvious that the guy you're torturing doesn't know anything and is being targeted by the FIB via racial profiling due to his brown skin, which the association with the jihad terrorist group. And I think it's rather quite obvious its intentions with Steve Haynes, who represents the FBI, and his commentary on the corruption in America, and sits and enjoys the torture of him.
Hey. Now? Huh? Now? You ready to talk?
I've been ready to talk since the day I got kidnapped 6 weeks ago.
That's what we were afraid of.
No, I mean...
So, yeah, this guy we're after, what does he look like?
I wish...
And once the torture is over, Trevor saves Mr. Quay, which Haynes wanted Trevor to kill him, despite him doing nothing wrong, and says this speech to him, which I think makes it very clear on the anti-torture nature of the scene, and thus the reason it felt so hard to play.
How you feeling?
I need to get to the hospital.
Nah, you're fine.
I can assure you I am not.
No one likes a crybaby. You look great.
Let me see the mirror. I think I need a hospital.
You're not going to a hospital. You need to leave.
Who are you? And why are you helping me?
I told you. I don't like being told what to do.
Then why are you working with FIB?
I'm a double agent.
Yeah? Now who you work for? IAA?
The IAA want you dead as well, don't you remember?
The Marshal? Global Poo? Who?
Global Poo? Did you say Global Poo? I work for the forces of sanity.
Sanity?
And we need you to tell the world what happened to you, from the safety of a foreign country, preferably a dictatorship.
What do you mean?
You've got a message. You are a message, yeah? Okay, look. I love torture. Torture for the sake of torture, that's my bag. But there are people in our government, in the media, who think that torture is a means to an end. They think it'll get them somewhere. We gotta call bullshit on that. Torture's not gonna make you normal friends or get you information.
I am slipping out of consciousness. Am I dying?
Ah, you're not dying. Being a bit of a wuss. I know people who would pay good money for what you just enjoyed. I would.
The scene effectively is a criticism of American torture and torture in general, and the inhumane levels to which these people are willing to go to for the Americans' quote-unquote freedom. Thus the reason I think they chose Trevor to be Canadian, because he had an outsider's look to what America is, and why in some ways he is kind of the most honest and self-aware character. Then there is Trevor's interaction with Floyd. Now it's made quite obvious that Floyd is a loser from his unhappy love life, which is made quite obvious that he is in an abusive relationship with his girlfriend, who it's made quite evident for her narcissistic, overbearing nature due to the large portrait of herself, which Trevor breaks, him even ranting to Floyd about how she abuses him and his situation.
The rules don't apply to us, Floyd. We're going in.
I don't know. The rules applied to me my whole life. I like rules.
And look at you. You're a failure. You're in a loveless relationship.
What do you mean? Loveless? I love Deborah.
If she loved you, she'd be here, wouldn't she? But she's not.
You know I'm insecure.
You've got a dead-end job.
What? Dead end? No.
Floyd, it's dead end.
Being a unionized longshoreman's one of the best paying jobs in the country. You tell people around La Puerta that's what you do, they're liable to rob you. They're so jealous.
No one's jealous of you, Floyd. They pity you. You're abused by that woman. You're abused by these slave drivers. I mean, I've never worked so hard in my life.
It ain't.
And in one scene in particular, which I think is Trevor kind of talking to the audience, in which he shows Floyd his penis and says,
"Look at me!"
Can you just put your Johnson away, sir?
Which I think he's asking Floyd to, I guess, acknowledge him, and the audience also look at him in the sense of acknowledging your darker side, which I think Trevor represents, chaos, and he's asking you to acknowledge that part of yourself. And also to see past the violence and see Trevor as a person, and that he is just like every other character in the game, except he doesn't deny it, he accepts it. Take for example his encounter with Mary Ann, wherein, similarly to Trevor, he's psychotic and controlling and violent. However, once Trevor knocks the biker out, he denies being anything like him, even though she's just as crazy as him, maybe even more so for denying her craziness. Floyd could also represent the audience as well. Thus Trevor wants to help him stand up for himself, and thus his fear of Trevor, much like how the player should be afraid of Trevor. And when Deborah comes back, her basically controlling Floyd's freedom, thus she doesn't swear, thus his inability to fight back. The scene, I think, is also Trevor saying this is who he is, and he isn't trying to hide anything. Thus he's showing Floyd his most vulnerable part of himself physically. And unlike everybody else in the game, he isn't going to deny or change it. That's why I think a lot of his more heinous crimes are off-screen, from eating people to then possibly assaulting Floyd, to the infamous cut to black where Floyd and Deborah are killed.
I'm not afraid to use this. I'm not. Bob taught me.
Fuck Bob! You people are not very fucking nice!
Oh, hey there, Trevor.
Though the game hints towards Deborah killing Floyd and Trevor in an act of self-defense and an act of revenge for Floyd, which is shown with Mr. K, kills Deborah. Even after coming out, he seems to feel some sense of guilt, thus the heavy breathing. His heinous crimes are off-screen, because you just can't change Trevor, or make him a good person, because he isn't. However, he isn't hiding from it, thus why the quote-unquote good guys' violence is on screen. And just as messed up as the violence Trevor causes, with a mission in which you capture Mr. K, they literally are about to sodomize him, which to me is just as bad as the things we see Trevor do. A nice detail is the FBI changing its name round to the FIB, as in to tell a fib or essentially to lie, which of course they do throughout the whole game. So overall, I believe that Trevor is a representation of the darker side of the player and people in general, and the need to accept that part of yourself which Michael doesn't do, and serves as an important character in gaming, as despite his incredible flaws, he still does some good, like pointing out the hypocrisy in society and every single group. Whether it's race, ethnicity, gender, class, the government, he points out all the flaws in all of them, and is a reflection of what that type of person society can breed. And even though he may not have the most incredible character arc, there are many layers to him as a character, and the actions he commits to make him, in my opinion, gaming's greatest ever character.